Bam, son! This is Shoot It Straight, the podcast where life lessons don't come sugar-coated and excuses get bitched.
I'm Randy Black, podcast guy, professional question asker, and apparently the only one here who doesn't yell, "Bam, son," in public.
Well, we're working on that, Randy. I'm Jim Clayton, coach, mentor, motivator, and the guy who still thinks a whistle may be the best motivational tool known to man.
Each week, we're taking what Jim's learned from the court, the drills, the discipline, the drive, and translating it into real-world success.
That's right. This ain't just about basketball. It's about showing up when life presses full court. It's about pushing through when the clock's ticking down.
If you're looking for fluff, well, you might just want to ride the bench.
We're here to help you believe bigger, achieve louder, and motivate stronger. So buckle up, and whatever you do, keep shooting it straight. Bam, son!
Welcome back to Shooting It Straight. I'm Randy Black, here with my co-host,
Coach Jim Clayton.
And we're at the Sports City U studio in Hurricane, West Virginia. Picture this. You're a teenager. You're full of dreams. You're living your life to its fullest. And in one split second, it may be over. A broken neck, a doctor saying you may never walk again. For most people, that would be the end of the story. But not for my co-host, Jim Clayton. You know what his response was?
Bam, son!
And he wrote a new chapter for his life. This episode is part of our series on resilience, that deep down determination to get back up when life knocks you flat to the ground. We've talked about what it means to push through adversity, to find strength when the odds are stacked against you. But today, you're going to hear it from someone who lived it. Jim's story isn't just about injury and recovery. It's about mindset, grit, faith, and the kind of bounce back that shapes a lifetime. From nearly paralyzed to playing ball, coaching athletes, and teaching life lessons, this is resilience in real time. So stick around through the episode because you're not going to want to miss it. So Jim, take us back to that moment in time. What do you remember about the day that this happened?
Well, it was just pretty much an ordinary day. It was October 17th, a Thursday. I was 12 years old. My birthday is October 22nd, so I was almost ready to turn 13.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was that time of the year when, you got Halloween, leaves falling off the trees, all kinds of stuff. Well, hey, I wasn't the perfect little angel. I mean, I was always getting into stuff. I was doing stuff. I was doing stuff I wasn't supposed to do, But none of it at that point was what I would consider life-threatening. Mm-hmm. So that particular day, we had built a big stack of leaves. And the leaves were probably, they were high. And right down the street from where I actually live now and up the street from where I grew up, there was a barbecue pit that a person had built. And it wasn't maybe 5 feet off the ground, maybe 6 feet at the most. Okay. So we climbed up there on top of that thing. And, there was a stack in the middle where the smoke would come out. And that thing was so high, we would do flips off of it, jump in it, because it was really cushion. I mean, it was 10 feet of cushion. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing it. And, the lady next, she goes, "You better quit that, boys. Somebody's going to get hurt." Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't listen. You know what I mean? All right, go back in the house. You know what I mean? We got this. Well, that's what I thought. So I got up there. We've been doing this for days. I've done this hundreds of times off this thing. I got up there, and my feet were kind of on the sides of the barbecue. And there was that pipe in the middle. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I was standing there, and somehow my foot went down in that pipe.
Yeah.
And went down. I leaned forward, and my hands went back. And before I knew it, I was diving face down like underdog. Had my hands back like this.
Yeah.
Bam. I hit my neck, snapped that thing back, flipped over, and I was face down in the leaves. Couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. I mean, it was like, okay, total paralysis from the neck down. And I laid there, and I had leaves in my mouth. It was all over the place. And my buddies, they're thinking, "Oh, he's just faking."
Right.
They just stood there and looked. So finally, it's kind of weird. about 30 seconds, seemed like an eternity.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like being at your house and your power goes off, then it comes right back on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened to me. All of a sudden, I could feel. I could move. So I rolled over. Whew. Now I could breathe. They go, man, what's going on? I said, man, I've hurt my neck, man. I can't move. They go, you're just faking. If I could get up right now, I'd show you who's faking.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'd busted him right in the mouth. But
Right.
I laid there. So finally I go, whew. Well, what's every young person that's ever been hurt? What's their first thought? I got to get home.
Yeah.
Got to go home.
Been there.
So I said, boys, help me up. So they helped me up. I stood up. A bicycle was right over to the side of that. Had one of those Swin little 16-inch, had the big handlebars,
Yeah.
had the banana seat, So I got on the bike. Broken neck. Didn't know the severity of it. Well, I'll share with you that later. And I rode my bike home. Wasn't very far, maybe half a block.
Yeah.
Pulled in the driveway. My mom was standing at the kitchen window. I'll never forget it. She was cooking spaghetti. So I parked the bike, went in the house. Slowly. Neck, I couldn't move it. If I moved it one, just anything, I can't really describe the pain. And I have a high threshold for pain.
Mm-hmm.
I go in, Mom. She looked at me. I had stuff all over me. She goes, you been fighting again? I said, no, I've hurt my neck. I said, I fell into this leaf pit accidentally, and I've hurt my neck. My dad goes, oh, you just sprained it. You'll be all right. I said, well, okay. So I went back to my bedroom. And I laid down.
Yeah.
And I laid there. My mom says, time to eat. So I couldn't get up. I had to roll out of bed. Got myself up. And my house at that time was like a maze, but I could hold on to both sides of the wall. Kind of went down.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember going down through there slowly. By that time, my neck was swelled up really big. Couldn't even see my neck. It was like just that big. Yeah. And I never forget it. I turned the corner to go up the hallway to the kitchen. My mom stuck her neck out and looked at me. I said, and I was kind of dragging my foot. She goes, we're going to the hospital right now. I said, okay. So we got in the car, went to the hospital.
Yeah.
All Cowboy Huntington was like a U.
Mm-hmm.
We went in the emergency room. My mom says, my son's hurt his neck. They said, have a seat in the waiting room. She's an Italian woman. She wasn't really going for that.
Right.
She said he hurt his neck. Okay. He needs to be set down, laid down. Put a support on your neck. Can't move his neck. So finally they took me back there and laid me down. Doctor comes in and, sees what's happening, told him what's happening. Now, they couldn't tell me at that time what happened. They took an x-ray.
Yeah.
They just know there's a break in there because all the fluid and everything, they couldn't really tell what it was.
Right.
And the crazy part is, I had never cried till they told me, well, you're going to have to spend the night, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I lost it because I'd never really been in a hospital.
Right.
And except for being born. And so they took me upstairs. And when I landed, I kind of broke my jaw. Look, I landed right on my jaw.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't feeling real good. So they put me in this traction where they put it on my chin. That wasn't feeling good.
I can imagine.
So I was like hurting from my neck, my chin, my jaw, everything. So I guess they gave me something, kind of knocked me out a little bit, pain medication. So the next day they come in and, they tried to do x-rays again. It wasn't for about a week or two that they finally figured out what was wrong. And I had dislocated my atlas, and I had broken my C1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, wow. I
broke them all. Most people don't survive one.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they're totally paralyzed from the neck down. And so, I'm thinking, okay, I'm laying there. They go, well, we know you got a broken jaw. So now we're going to change the traction. We're going to put what's called Crutchfield tongs. So they actually went into my skull above my head with almost like a screwdriver. Right. And they started grinding holes in my skull. I could hear it going. I was going like, what in the world? So they don't numb now because you only got skin and skull. Mm-hmm. That hurt like crazy.
I'm sure.
And I was only 12. And so then they stuck those tongs in those holes. And then when they put the sandbags over the bed, the pressure kept them in. So now I didn't have anything on my jaw. So I could move it, okay? And I was basically laying there. And where the paralysis, where the pressure was on my spine, one side of my body, I think it was my right side, my hands started to draw up. Like I was in a paralyzed part, certain parts. And I thought, oh no, this ain't good. And I didn't know that. And I hoped that over time, when they relieved that pressure and that swelling went down and everything happened, that everything would go back. And it did. Thankfully, by the grace of God. He was looking out for me. And so basically, I just lay there. I couldn't get up. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't do anything. I was just laying, looking at the ceiling. I think, well, this ain't good. I can't watch TV or nothing.
Yeah.
So the TV was over on the wall. So they brought in these things, which was awesome. They were prism glasses. I put them on. I looked up, but the prisms looked at the TV so I could watch TV. I was looking at the ceiling, but watching TV on the wall. It was wow. And so that's the way I was for months. And back then they said, well, we're going to, see what's going on here. We're going to let you go home in an ambulance. But they didn't have things called a halo.
Right.
They had cast, body cast.
Yes.
Now you can imagine, I'll send you a picture.
Oh, I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen it.
The only thing that showed was my face, top of my head, my ears, and had a hole in my belly. So when I ate, it would stick out. The rest of me was in cast, 80 pounds of it. Now I didn't weigh much. I maybe was 120.
Yeah.
80 pounds. Now I'm 200, and 80 pounds of it is solid cast. That wasn't good. So they let me go home, crawled around a little bit, finally got up, said, I'm going to get back to walking a little bit, because I hadn't been in there that long, so I haven't forgotten how to walk. And so I started walking around a little bit, and it was right about Thanksgiving, into Thanksgiving. They called me on the phone. They said, you got to get back to the hospital immediately. I said, okay. Any particular reason why? Yes. Those vertebrae, they were so broken, they're healing, but they could slip at any time. And if they slip, they're going to sever your spinal column. And you might not be as lucky the second time around. I said, I'm on my way. So I go back over there. Okay. Didn't know what that journey was going to be like. So they put me back in the bed. And oh no, here we go again. Grinding. They put 2 more holes in my head. Put those tongs back in there so they could strengthen that up. Well, they realized that wasn't going to happen. So they go, we're going to have to fuse your neck. We're going to have to do a spinal fuse. Now, they hadn't done one of these in Huntington.
Yeah.
Now, this, I was 12, so that was 1967. You do the math. That's been a few years. So they took this bone off my hip, which they didn't tell me they were going to do that. They don't even do that anymore. Now they use cadaver bone. And they cut my neck in the back, which looks like a fuse box. They don't even do that anymore. They cut you here at the base of your neck and move everything over, go in from the front.
Right.
Well, they fused that together. And then once they fused it together, I didn't have any vertebrae anymore. So I laid there. It's like a broken bone. You can't speed up the healing process. And I laid there, and I laid there, and I laid there for months. I remember Christmas, they took the stitches out. That was a highlight. Boy, my hip was killing me. I rolled over on that sucker. Yeah. That was worse than any pain I think I've ever had. So for about a month, I was like a pin cushion for, where they gave me pain medicine. I'd go shoulder, shoulder, butt, shoulder, shoulder. I got so many shots that I had scabs. That's how much I did. So I don't even remember that month. That January, don't even remember. So I came to it a little bit, you know what I mean? They go, well, okay, it's getting better, but we're not sure. So I laid there. Then they come up and say, okay, we're going to put that cast back on. I said, oh, gosh, not that thing again. So this time, I had to go down. They put that cast back on. I lay there. Well, I was like 90 pounds with an 80-pound cast. Bones So I was laying there, and that bone, that cast lay right on my bone, right where that scar was.
Oh.
And it cut off the circulation.
Mm.
So I caught the flu of all things in the hospital.
Jeez.
Couldn't breathe, nothing, couldn't, And so where I'd lay there, and they had to cut off, it's called a decubulus,
Mm-hmm.
about the size of a quarter. Everybody come and go, man, something smells. I couldn't smell anything. So my mom, I'd roll over a little bit on my side. She'd rub my back in there a little bit. Well, she put her hand right in that thing.
Oh.
She pulled that out. She about threw up, ran out. And I said, oh, my God. So they come in, cut that cast off a little bit, pulled that out. Those guys, that smell, I must have knocked them out of the room. So then I'm thinking, okay, come on. Now it's getting better. Got a broken neck. I got a fused spine. I got a decubulus. How are you going to fix that? They said, well, we're going to do what we call a pinch graft. That's where they go in the back of your legs and taking a skin graft.
Right.
They go in there and pinch skin. Look like a tic-tac-toe board. Now, you talk about something that hurt. Mm-hmm. Just pulling the skin right out like that. They put it in a culture, and they let it grow. Then they put that on that. And then that's how it healed. Yeah. So they said, we're not going to let you go home till it heals. That's another month. So it's been 3 months. So they finally go, okay, you go home. Well, I haven't walked, Right. And they go, we're going to take you home in the ambulance, put you in the bed. You crawl around the bed. They didn't have physical therapy. No. They didn't have all the stuff they had now. Either you just suck it up, get it done. So I laid there, I said, fine, man, I've had enough of this. So I said, I'm walking to the bathroom. I'm going to use the bathroom. Legit. Something we all take for granted till you can't do it. Yeah. Because you're laying horizontally, not vertically.
So would you say it's like that was your turning point there?
Hey, I said, I'm going.
Okay.
So I stepped off that bed. I had my hand on my dresser. My leg was like, I'm like a baby giraffe. Yeah. Basically. And so it took me like 30 minutes to go 10 feet. But I was going. Yeah. So I got finally to the bathroom. I said, Mom. She goes, what's going on? I said, I'm in the bathroom. I'm taking a pee for the first time standing up in 4 or 5 months. She comes running in there. I said, oh, Lord. I said, man, it's going to take me another 30 minutes to get back. So I went back. Finally got there. Jumped up there. Whew, you'd have thought I ran a marathon. Yeah. Well, then my feet got bruises on them, because I had all that weight on there. Yeah. I had that cast on. So I told her, I said, go get me some Chuck Taylors. That was the shoe.
That was the shoe.
And I said, I need about 11. Because I want you to stack as many Dr. Scholl's pads as you can get in there. Because I'm not going back in that bed. And that's how I started walking. Yeah. And I taught myself how to walk again. And so eventually, I said, okay. And then it got to summer. And they called me and said, you come back. I need you to come back to the hospital. I go, okay. So I got in the car. I was sitting like this. I couldn't put my chin down. Right. And they took it back and they cut that cast off. Woo, that was a great day. Yeah. They lifted that thing off and that fresh air come in there. I ain't taking a shower. You know what I mean? I took a bath, sponge bath, whatever. And they lifted that thing up. They fitted me with a brace. Went under my chin, had 2 metal rods. It was a chest plate, had shoulder pads, went on the back. But I could move my arms, stuff. And it only weighed like a couple pounds. Yeah. And I'll never forget that. They took my hand and they'd raised me up. For the first time, I sat up. Every vertebra in my back went crack, 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 crack. Ah, what a relief.
All that decompression from all that weight that was on them.
Gosh. Yeah. And I was dizzy. You know what I mean? Like, woo. And so they did that, and they said, now, I could take that off when I slept. And I could take it off when I took a shower. I said, oh, Lord, I get to take a shower. So I went home, first thing I did, I took that thing off, took a shower. I never seen so much dead skin at the bottom of that shower.
Oh, I'm sure.
You can't even imagine. And then I got to go get a haircut because they'd shaved my head here, done this, done that. I had about 5 or 6 different levels of hair now. Yeah. Probably would be in style now. Probably. So I got it cleaned up and everything. And then, I could go get the swimming pool. so I could walk around, I could swim. That helped me build everything back. Now, that was just to get to that point. Now, here's where it all changed.
Okay.
I went in 5 foot tall. I came out 6 foot tall.
Wow.
I'd grown to 12 inches in that time frame. But I didn't have to worry about, growing pains because I was laying in the bed flat.
Yeah.
Woo! And I said, baby giraffe, I'm talking yes. So, I said, man, walking around, got that like this. So school came back to get started. I couldn't go to school. I took that whole year off from October because I couldn't go to school. I'll never forget one time a guy came over from Cabell County, the truant officer, and I was standing out front with that cast on. And he said, how come you're not in school, son? Boy, my mom went outside. She ran that sucker right off the driveway. But so when I was, I'd grown a foot and I didn't have anything to do. So I walked up the street. A friend of mine had a basketball court up there. Mm-hmm. And it was only 6 foot tall. I was 6 foot tall. The rim was the same height as me. And I just stood there and shot that ball and didn't even know what I was doing. I was teaching myself how to shoot.
Yeah.
And I was not a good shooter. I was not really a good basketball player. I was okay, but I wasn't anything. And so I'd grown a foot, developed a jump shot, and I was going back to school. They told me I could take that thing off now, put that little collar on like if you get in a car wreck.
Right.
I took that off. I was back. No limitations. I could run, I could shoot, I could jump. And so I wanted to go out for the basketball team at Kamak, 8th grader. And the coach goes, man, I don't know, man. You're just coming off a broken neck. I don't know about all this. I said, man, I'm good, coach. Ain't nothing wrong. I said, I've been cleared. Let's go. So I went out for the team. I made the team. Only 2 8th graders, me and Steve Moses. Mm-hmm. I didn't get much playing time. I didn't even care. I only got 5 minutes the whole year. But I wasn't that good. All them guys that had me.
You were just happy to be out of the bed
I was
on the team.
on the team, and I made something that I'd look forward to. Oh, man, that's a whole nother story. Mm-hmm. Okay? And these are things I figured out why I am the way I am. These are all the lessons that I went through that it took me 15, 16 years to figure out what I was going through. Now I see how I see the journey. Brad, our last guy we were talking with, he's talking about the journey. You got to see it. You got to visualize it. And now it was all coming like clarity and clear. Now, and so then I took off. And here's the thing. If that had not happened, and I had not walked up to that little basket, I called it Rogers Arena, dear Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, we would not be sitting here right now having this conversation. Right. Because that's how my basketball career took off. As a result of that almost life-ending situation, that turned into the biggest break of my life. Yeah. And sent me down the path that I'm on right now. And a lot of people don't know that story because I've never really, it's been so long ago.
Right.
That now,
I've known you for 30 years, and I knew that it happened, but I didn't know the details of everything. So this is new. This is a new thing for me, and I'm flabbergasted with how bad the situation really was.
Oh, it was bad. It was real bad. It was about as bad as you can get without going over the end, over the edge right there. And so, like I said, we're talking about resilience. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know what that word was. Right. At the time, but I was doing it.
Yes.
I was in full mode resilience. I was bouncing back. Right. Had no idea why, who, what, when, where. I was just doing it. Because I didn't have any other choice. Right. And, I've always said things happen for reasons. But there's better ways to learn how to shoot a basketball than break your neck and go through what I went through. Right. I teach it daily, and I wouldn't approach anybody. But, I look at things now, man, my head was still, my focus was because I couldn't move my neck because it was in cast. My whole body had to step straight, couldn't turn my shoulders, couldn't do all the things that I coach players now on. Right. The mistakes because, man, I was in straight body cast mode. And, I look back at that stuff now and I go, man, I can't believe I did that, but what other choice did I have? I wasn't going to sit around and feel sorry for myself. And I was the kind of guy who don't sit around anyway, just like I am today. Had to go do something. So I just walked up the street and I taught myself how to do something that I turned into a profession. And it paved the way. But I didn't know that was going to turn into that.
Right.
We don't know these lessons. See, these lessons, they're just position us to grow in the direction that God wants us to go. So I just know, I know 100%, no questions asked, that had that not happened on that day, my life would have been turned out totally different. Don't know what that would be. Don't even think about it, because I've had a great life and I've gotten to do everything that I wanted to do, way more than I ever thought I would, in different levels that I never thought I would ever achieve. You know what I mean? So, I didn't know I didn't want to sell myself short, but I just didn't know. And all these things started lining up. Okay, I know it's the power of God, because things don't line up like that. And there was people in the hospital with me that some of them were paralyzed from the waist down, some from the neck down, some different parts, that had, obviously, they had a broken something in their spine.
Right.
But when you added all those different people up, none of them added up to the severity of mine. And here I was walking down the hallway. And I go, how can that happen? Well, I know now. I know exactly why that happened. And that's why my faith is so strong. Because he could have took me out right there.
Definitely.
He could have said, it's your time, son. We got to go.
But I mean, thinking about it though, do you think maybe it was, maybe as a wake-up call, like to change something? Something needed to change. Something needed to shift direction. Do you think that might possibly be what this is, or what this was?
Oh, no doubt. But I didn't know what the wake-up call was. But you see.
But that's the beauty of it, though.
Yeah, it's like, wow, man, I'm going in this direction. Then all of a sudden, man, boom, I was going in that direction. But they're all going up. They weren't going lateral. They were going up. So I was growing through all these experiences and this wake-up call. That's why I call it the break. The big break. It wasn't the big break I got in life. It was the big break that set me into life. Okay, that set me on my journey. And I'm still on that journey. I'm still on that journey. And I don't think it ever stops. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, it does. They stop their journey. They get complacent. And success is a complacency disease. You're happy where you are because you feel like, oh, yeah, but what about where you could have gone? What about what you could have done?
Humans like being comfortable.
Oh, yeah. Like if you go out on my court right there, you look out, I got all these squares all over the court. Those are called comfort zones. I tell people, go step in that square. Now look, not much room for growth in there, is there? Nope. So you're bound by that right there.
Right.
They said, well, where's your comfort zone, coach? I said, look at the sideline and the baseline around this court. That's how big my comfort zone is. Woo! Because, hey, guess what? I'm keep growing. Learning is a lifelong skill. And I'm going to soak up everything I can do. We today had an opportunity to talk with Dr. Brad Miller. I learned so much. Oh, my God. I was like a sponge. I soaked up everything that guy said because he was speaking my language. And everybody can do the same thing every day. And that's the hopes of this. You can soak up stuff. Well, golly, if that guy can overcome that, my little hangnail over here, that ain't nothing. Well, you're right. It isn't anything. You just make that little hangnail a big thing. And we don't need to do that. And, it just set me on like a new foundation.
Right.
And you can't have a small foundation and try to build a big house.
Nope.
It's just going to crumble and fall down.
I mean, you can even go back to the biblical story of the man who builds his house upon the rock and the one who builds his house upon the sand. And what happens?
Yeah.
One on the sand collapses because it doesn't have the solid foundation.
And you got to have that foundation. And everybody doesn't want the foundation. They don't want to build the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this for a fact. I've never seen anybody show up at a house with the roof before the house was built.
Yeah.
Hey, where's the roof? I got a roof here. Where's it going to? I don't see a house.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't see that. So you got to build that.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes what? Time. It ain't going to happen overnight. Nothing great happens overnight. I've said that once. I'll say it 1 billion times. And so, I look at this stuff and I look how it's shaped my life, on and off the court.
Yeah.
See, on and off the court. And, I look back and I go, man, what has really motivated me to start things? And, it wasn't really the accident that did that.
Mm-hmm.
I take it back to elementary school. And in elementary school, the coolest thing you could become was a patrol.
Oh, yeah.
And you had a badge.
Yep.
And you had a thing that you wore that you put the badge on. And you had a bamboo stick with a flag on it. And when it rained, you got to put those yellow big things on and go out in the water.
Yep. I was not a patrol. I was not a patrol.
Well, my sister was.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what it was. And she was a patrol. She brought that stuff home. And I got kind of connected to that badge. And she'd wrap it up a certain way. And I'd take it apart, put it on.
Mm-hmm.
Drove her nuts. I said, man, I'm going to be a patrol one day. And then there was a red patrol. That was the lieutenant. And the captain was blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I swatched him. And I said, how do you got to be a patrol? You got to get picked. So I took sheets and cut them up in strips. And I made me that little thing.
Yeah.
And I made me a badge. And went out and got a stick. And I made a flag. And I practiced being a patrol. Well, guess what? I got the word. I got to be a patrol. I got my badge. I got my thing. And that's what set me forward on looking at stuff and then having a goal to go get it. So the next thing I wanted was where I got to make that team.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kamak had the coolest uniforms ever.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any way to buy that uniform. You had to earn it. There was no mall to go get the uniform. Well, I remember when I made that team in 8th grade, I didn't care about the minutes. By gosh, I got that uniform. And I remember running in my bedroom, putting that thing on, staring in that mirror going, yes, yes, But I knew I wasn't going to play much. But the next year, those guys graduated, and I got that uniform again with a different number. Well, you know what? Then I started thinking, well, what about the next level? Well, that was Pony Express. I did the same thing with my Express jerseys. I made them, preparing for being there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people might think you're crazy, laugh at this. You can say what you want. But guess what? I still got those jerseys framed at my house in my man cave. And I look at that, and I look at that jersey, and I think what I went through to get to that. And that jersey, and that jersey. I got my college jersey. I got all those things. Now, they don't mean much to anybody else. I got my patrol badge. I still have that in my drawer.
Nice.
I mean, I've got all that stuff. I saved it because those are life-changing moments.
Mm-hmm.
None of that would have happened. Well, the patrol would have. But everything else down the way, if it wasn't for that break.
Yeah.
You see, but the patrol got me into a leadership mode of going and doing able to do something, have a skill, crossing that thing. How important was that that person got from one side to the other? Mm-hmm. Well, it's how important to that is that a parent that thinks about losing their child. We've seen that disaster that's happened to last. That just makes me cry every day when I see that. Mm-hmm. And it gives me cold chills. So imagine if they got hit by a car, whatever means that they were taken away from you at an early age. I look back at that. So I had a big responsibility. Okay. And I still use that big responsibility to share what we're sharing.
So have you ever had the opportunity to share this story with with athletes you've worked with or students you've worked with who've, maybe come to you and said, "Coach, I'm kind of got some tough stuff going on here and I don't know what to do." Have you ever had that opportunity?
Well, I've shared it with a few people, but not a lot of people.
Okay.
I don't know no particular reason why I didn't.
Mhm.
I just kept moving on.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's in the past, but that was a life-changing moment for me. And everybody has life-changing moments. They all have them. We don't know when you're going to have them.
Right.
What's going to be that big, impactful moment?
Right.
I don't know for you. I know what it was for me. But you know what the crazy part is? It still's happening.
Yeah.
I'm having impactful moments now, like the journey I'm on with cancer.
Yeah.
There are certain things that have happened in my life that are unbelievably fantastic that I would have never, ever had if it wasn't for going through this cancer journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it and go, man, I'm growing. I'm still growing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting better. I'm learning. I'm sharing. I'm expanding my horizon from just being a dumb jock, you know what I mean, an athlete,
Mm-hmm.
to all the things I've encountered now. And it's like we talked about that ball one day.
Yeah.
When you put it down, it'll stop bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say, get in the game, stay in the game. The ball don't bounce for me anymore like it did up and down the court, shooting jump shots, making moves, doing all those things I did when I was playing. But it's steered me in another direction where I'm still in the game.
Yeah.
Just in a different version, just in a different application.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, we can look at, the journeys you go through, like in this right here, what we're doing, sitting here each week and recording and sharing these ideas and thoughts. This is another journey you're on. It's another way for you, based on everything that's happened in your life and the things you've learned and the things you've experienced, to get that out there and share it.
Oh, absolutely. And they look at that and they go, gosh, man, that's pretty big, Coach. Maybe this thing I'm going through ain't so big. No, it doesn't. It's not the bigness of it, okay, how big it is. It's that you attack it and you figure out how to make it better. So even though this might be, you might think that's what your problem is small compared to what I went through. In your mind, it's big. And you got to fix it or it's going to get bigger. And, those are the things that I use, as this right here. I use this for me. I say, man, look how far you've come. What would have happened if you gave up?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to go down that road.
Right.
Because I'm not about regressing. I'm about progress.
Yeah. And
so, it's, you just got to go from recovery of something to how's it going to impact your life?
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at it, like you said, it's saying, man, I'm back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It put me, and what's so funny is sometimes these things throw your life totally upside down. And here's what I mean. Basketball was not my sport. I was a baseball player. I was a good pitcher. But then what happened was I couldn't turn my neck. My neck will only turn so far.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out why I was throwing the ball every which way but loose, but down to a strike.
Mm-hmm.
I was hitting people. I was going, oh my God, I'm going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And you know what? Funny thing was I was 12, 13, 14, 15. I even pitched in high school. Mm-hmm. And one time I pitched a pitch down old St. Cloud's Commons.
Right.
I threw the ball literally out of the ballpark.
Oh my gosh.
It went over the batter's head. And in the back there, they had a screen.
Yep.
And it shot up the screen, over the screen,
Wow.
on the first pitch.
Wow.
And I go, oh, this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the funny thing, I'm thinking, Coach, take me out. He looked at me like this. I'm thinking, okay. I pitched that game. And I pitched a no-hitter.
Wow.
Now, that was had to be pure luck.
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't realize until about 4 or 5 years ago why I couldn't pitch anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, that's a long time between being a high school.
Right.
So what happened was, and I was listening to one of the great quarterbacks of all time, Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
He had neck surgery.
Right.
And after his neck surgery, his ball was not the same. It was going high, low. And he goes, I just couldn't turn. I can't get that range of motion in my neck that I did. I go, the light went off.
Yeah.
And I go, boy, I wish I'd have known that a long time ago. But it doesn't matter when you know it. It just matters that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just, I look back at this stuff and I just go, it amazes me how this caused this, presented this fact. So everything that I was good at, now I became not good at.
Yeah.
And everything I was not good at, it flipped.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, who could predict that?
Yeah.
Who could have predicted that was ever going to happen? Only one person.
Man upstairs.
My head coach, the coach of all coaches.
Yeah.
The master coach.
Mm-hmm.
He
has a path for all of us.
Oh, he does.
We may not understand it.
And we might not like it.
And we may not like it. But eventually that path is going to go right where it's supposed to take us.
But you got to believe.
Yeah.
And we're not on his time.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's why years and years down the road, it comes to truth.
Yeah.
Well, boy, I wish that would have come to truth a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that ain't about you.
Right.
Do you understand?
You have to be patient for the time to unfold.
We already talked about that.
Yes.
Patience. One of my worst things. But I ask God for that every day. God, give me patience.
Yes.
Please give me patience. Be the goldfish.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe.
Yeah.
Relax. Chill out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a place at my house that I've designated as my patience zone.
Mm-hmm.
And when I need patience or I need to just chill, guess what I do? I go right to that place. And it's just like, wow. I go, okay, I'm good. I'm back. Okay. But that's my story, man.
So I got two questions about this. Okay. And they're reflections. It's not something about what happened. There are ways to reflect on things. So the first thing is, if you could go back in time and talk to the teenage Jim about what's happened here, talk to yourself about the events, what would you say?
I'd say, well, things aren't going your way at the current moment.
Mm-hmm.
So you really don't have a choice. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
You going to whine, complain, feel sorry for yourself? Or are you going to kick it into new gear and figure out a way you're going to beat this? Or what's going to happen?
Yeah.
See, because, back in those days, we didn't know any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when things happened to you that made you mad, you'd fight. You just fight. You make me mad, I'm going to bust you in the mouth.
Yeah.
That was our mentality. That's not a good mentality by any way, means,
no,
and I would advise totally against it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I didn't have ways of coping with these things. I didn't know ways of coping with it. They didn't teach this stuff in school.
No.
I've taught a lot of this in my class. Hey, Coach, you're teaching life lessons. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. I mean, I'm not worried about whether I can diagram a sentence right now. But back in the day, that was an important thing. You flunked if you didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But you look back at that and you just go, I'm going to fight in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Not fisticuffs. I'm going to fight with all my heart. I'm going to give it my best. That's my attitude. That's my effort, and you can get through this. You just got to believe you can. And those are the three things right there: attitude, effort, and belief.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you try to change. Kids today just don't really hear those three words except in a negative sense.
Right.
Okay. So that's what I would say to a young version of me.
So what's one thing that you hope the people listening to this podcast today take away from your story?
That tough times tough times happen, but they don't define you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's like you guys, gentlemen today said, You can't let cancer define you. You can't let a setback define you. You can't let a broken neck define you. You can't let those things happen. What are you going to do about it? And how is that going to steer you in the right direction? Because it will.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay attention to the signs.
Yes.
See, there's signs along the way. And sometimes we don't see the signs because we're going too fast.
Mm-hmm.
In driver's ed, which I taught for a long time, that's called speed smear. The faster you go, the less you can see on the side. And, it's that peripheral vision, the ability to look out and see side to side that helps you get a better vision of where you're going and what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would say to people, man.
Okay.
That's just, I think that's huge. And that's undertaught and overdone by people today. We don't teach it.
Yeah.
We don't teach it.
Mm-hmm.
We just expect it's going to happen. Well, guess what? It's not. It's not going to show up. Everything just doesn't show up. It shows up for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I call that preparation. Okay. And I always use the 6 P's of success that I learned from my coach in college.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in one day and he goes, Coach, you know the 6 P's? I said, no, I do not know the 6 P's. He says, repeat after me. Didn't have any choice. I said, prior, proper, planning, prevents, poor performance.
Mm-hmm.
Said, could you say that fast? Prior, proper planning, prevents poor performance. Every day for 18 weeks of that semester. I walk in, sit down, he'd look at me and go, point his finger. I go, prior, proper planning prevents poor performance.
Yep.
So in other words, whatever you're ready for, that's what's going to show up. Every day, every minute, every hour, for the rest of your life.
Nice.
That's the end of the story, as
Nice.
Paul Harvey would say.
So that means it's time for Jimmy's Wisdom of the Week.
Now it's time for Jimmy's Wisdom of the Week. This is where Jimmy shares one of his famous Jimmyisms to inspire the listener.
Okay, so the Jimmyism for this week that you gave me was somewhere someone else is happy with less than you have. What's that mean?
Ooh, that's a good one. Because, we all get stuck on that me, and not we. I said, think about this.
Mm-hmm.
You come into life with nothing.
Right.
You go out of this life with nothing. But you spend your entire life chasing the things that really don't mean the most. Mm-hmm. How big a house you live in. How big a car you drive. What's the status quo?
Yeah.
I got to keep up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at that, you see, that's why people have this attitude. You don't have to have everything in life to be happy. And here's a kicker to the deal right here. If you're not happy, what else is
there? Mm-hmm.
That's how I end it. If you're not happy, what else is there? So you know what I encourage all of you guys? Be happy. Be happy for other people, which most people can't.
It's tough for a lot of people.
And be happy with what you're doing, but understand you can always do better.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always be happy. Because it ain't what you got.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do with what you have. It doesn't matter if you have a lot or less.
Yeah.
Hey, love. Love your neighbor. Love yourself. Be happy for other people. Smile.
Yeah.
Pass it on. You know what I mean? So when they see you, when you lead a life of significance, here's how you know. Not a great life, but a life of significance. When you're gone, they'll always wish you were there.
Yep.
Because you were significant in their life.
Exactly.
Not just valuable in their life. They miss you when you're not there. Even though you're not there, they still miss you. And they don't forget about you. That's
awesome.
Significance. That's what I got to say about that.
So thank you, Jim, for being open and honest about this really defining moment in your life. it's a story that it's not just about the physical recovery. It's about the strength that it took to keep going when everything says you can't. If you're listening to this episode and you've had your own setbacks in your life that you've been able to overcome adversity, been able to move forward, we would love to hear your story.
100%.
So head over to the website, leave us a comment on the post for this episode. The address for that is shootingitstraightpodcast.com/004. Or there's a contact form on our website where you can send in an email. We would love to not only hear from you about what you've been able to overcome, but we'd also love it if you'd be willing to be on the show so we can feature you on here about it.
And don't be afraid to reflect on that because stories are powerful. And your story is very, very important. So don't think it's not.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it is. And it's a teaching moment. And what you're going to say in that story, I'll guarantee you, I'm going to take something out of that and I'm going to pass it forward into somebody else that's going to help them. And when you're helping other people, again, it doesn't get any better than that, adding value to people.
Yeah. So on our next episode, we're going to be joined by Dr. Brad Miller. We had the chance to chat with him. He's the host of the Cancer and Comedy podcast. And he's going to share how he found purpose and laughter in the middle of his own cancer journey. It's a conversation about mindset, about humor, and choosing to rise up even when life brings you down to your knees. And you're not going to not want to miss that at all. It is a fantastic conversation. So we're going to finish up. We're going to call this one a done deal. I'm Randy Black.
I'm Coach Jim Clayton.
And we hope you have a great week and that you'll come back and join us for the next one. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe, share it with someone who needs a boost, and follow us online at shootingitstraightpodcast.com. That's where you'll find every episode, updates, and more.
You miss a shot? Get back on D. You get knocked down? Get back up. Life's not about staying perfect. It's about staying in the game. And remember, keep shooting it straight. Bam, son. Woo!